Do you miss hardware shortcut keys from the days of BlackBerry and Windows Mobile? This startup might have something for you. I'm Taylor Martin, this is Pocketnow, and this is our review of Pressy. If you found yourself missing the dedicated shortcut key on your old BlackBerry or envying the customizable active key on the Galaxy S5 Active, Pressy is almost exactly what you've been looking for, without even knowing it. So what is it? Pressy is a simple button that takes advantage of your standard 3.5mm headphone jack, something every Android smartphone and tablet has, which is why it's so clever. It's also why it can be somewhat annoying. It resides in your headphone jack, meaning if you want to listen to music through headphones, you'll need to remove Pressy first, unless, of course, you use Bluetooth headphones. Also, Pressy juts out from the headphone jack 0.7 of a millimeter. If you aren't using a case, it will stick out like a sore thumb. That said, we can't say it bothered us all that much. The added utility was a fair trade-off for a small bump along the bottom edge of the phone, but it did make accidental presses more common than we'd like. The idea is to take advantage of a mostly unused headphone jack and use it as a programmable shortcut key. Using the free app, you can create different tasks to perform with Pressy using different combinations of presses. For example, we found programming a single long press to launch the TV app is extremely helpful when sitting down to watch television, since we use the M8 as a universal remote at home. We also programmed a single press to launch the camera, a double press to launch Todoist, a triple press to launch Evernote, and 2 long presses to launch the rear LED for a flashlight. We haven't gotten too fancy with Pressy yet, but you can do even more specific things, like send a text message to someone with your current location and some text with your phone still in your pocket. The Kickstarter page also confirms it works with Tasker to get even more technical with your button presses. Creating new actions is extremely easy, and so is deleting or freezing them. Fortunately, Pressy doesn't seem to affect the battery life of the device it's plugged into. The Pressy application doesn't run until the button is pressed. On the flip side, that means launching those actions is almost always slow. There is a 1 to 2 second latency between completing a button press and the start of the action. When you already have the phone out, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to use Pressy, but that latency becomes less of an issue when you can launch your favorite apps from standby. If you don't want to leave Pressy in all the time, it comes with a holster, which can be added to your keychain, or you can also string your headphone cable through the loop on the holster to keep it handy when you plug in headphones. As much as we love the idea of Pressy though, it isn't perfect. It can be somewhat problematic at times. For instance, our 1M8 sometimes confused Pressy with a media button, often found on headphones, despite the prompt which appears when you plug it in. And it would play or pause music when we press the button, rather than launch the camera. Sometimes when we answered calls, there would be no audio until we unplugged Pressy, which was particularly frustrating. Those glitches don't make it any easier to stomach the $27 pre-order price either, especially when you consider there are much cheaper software alternatives. In all, and despite some of the shortcomings and quirks, we're quite pleased with Pressy. The build quality is impressive, and it adds a host of utility to your phone from standby. We just hope the developers can overcome some of the action latency and other glitches. If you're looking for a way to handle some simple tasks without ever taking your phone out of your pocket, or the ability to launch your favorite apps with a press of a button, Pressy is a solid investment. Although it isn't exactly cheap, there is a ton of potential and promise in a tiny button that hangs out in your unused headphone jack. Just don't expect it to revolutionize the way you use your phone. Folks, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to click the thumbs up button below, and of course, subscribe to see more videos in the future. Be sure to follow us in all the usual places, Twitter, Facebook, and Google+, at Pocketnow. I'm Taylor Martin. You can find me on Twitter at CasperTech, and I will see you next time.